Are you struggling for consistency in your sim racing? Does your iRating look like a roller coaster? If so, we have good news for you. The way to get more consistent is to first understand what you're doing differently than the professionals. And VRS is the answer. With our competitive subscription, you will have the telemetry, setups, tutorials, and everything else you need to fully analyze your driving. Our data packs and the ability to compare your driving with the best in the world will show you exactly where to adjust your inputs, change your driving line, and shave seconds off of your lap times. And our powerful and precise Direct Force Pro wheelbase and precision pedals are being used by some of the world's best drivers. All these champions agree that VRS hardware is not just the best on the market, it's also priced well below the competition. So if you're looking to upgrade to direct drive and the best pedals in sim racing, VRS is your answer. If you want to get better, get faster, and make it happen sooner rather than later, you owe it to yourself to find out why so many people are switching to VRS. You'll be so glad that you did. Visit www.virtualracingschool.com and learn why the best use VRS.
Good evening and welcome as the Weekend Warriors returns here to Apex Racing TV. Kicking things off as the double handler as always with the Formula Fords. As this week the tour rolls into Norway at Rudskogen Motor Centre. I am Tim Koss, we've got Samuli Kuma in the virtual production trailer, and as always Charles Bashal joins me as after our usual championship standings roundup. But first up, let's head across into Spec 1, where it's been a really topsy-turvy season so far. 4 races and 4 different winners. But it is Christian Kabanka who's been consistency yet to take a win this season, but finds himself top of the standings and by 33 points over Jason Green, who's had 2 second places from his last 3 races. Then it's Aero Norm, who's picked up 2 wins so far and a 3rd place, but wasn't with us in the first round. That's why he can only hold on to 3rd place. Michael McConnell not too far behind him, who's yet to head onto the podium this season. Simon Ball, our winner from round 1, is in 5th position, with Jason Harris, Simpson Parrish and Hendrickson running out your top 10 there. Across into Spec 2, and well, Trenton Kramer. He's had the majority of wins this season, 3 from 4. However, it is Montgomery who's again, it's that consistency of what it comes down to. 3 second places and a win means that he leads the championship over Kramer, but by a slender 5 points. Paul Stevens, he lies in 3rd place with Tin Steno 4th. Lava Lorio running out your top 5 there with Litbacker, Payne, Fernandez Guard and Barris running out your top 10. Across into Masters, well, with a similar story here as it is in Spec 2. Yogmani has taken 3 victories this season and a 2nd place, his lowest finish. That was a Motorsport, including 2 podium positions overall for Marnie. And well, 2nd place behind him is Antonio Race, who's equally had an impressive season. He's had 2nd overall in Motorsport, combined with a couple of 2nd places, 2 in a row, in fact, at Oran Park and Willow Springs. Under Gassius, well, he's on a run of 2 3rd places in a row, and he's 3rd in the championship, with Murakami dropping to 4th for now. Warbolt, Cathcart, Ray Nelson, Brewster and Laurie to round out your top 10 there. But Charles Bashal, welcome along. It's a very exciting race going on at the moment in Daytona in your home country land. But we've got probably a more exciting race coming up for you now from Norway.
Yeah, absolutely. This is going to be a really fascinating race to watch. Obviously, we talked about it. The points, we're still pretty close on points. Obviously, that Spec 2 battle is very, very tight. So this is one of those tracks. I don't know how much usage it gets. Obviously, the official series is here this week, so I'm sure most of these drivers have at least went out and run some practice sessions or maybe a couple of official races, just trying to get a good feel for this. But you know, it's a very interesting track. It's kind of there's a couple of trouble spots that we'll have to keep up with during the course of the race, and so it's going to be a fun race to call.
Yeah, it's a weird circuit for me, this one. You know, since it came to the service, it was a track that we'd never heard of. We'd certainly never asked for it, but certainly lower down, it's become really, really popular. And well, you can understand why, can't you? Because it's absolute crackers. Aaronom goes fourth there in qualifying. He's been struggling a little bit. He's running around in 12th, quite a bit of it. But yeah, I mean, yeah, it's 2 miles in length, 3.2 kilometers for metric. And yeah, I mean, it's got a little bit of everything, really, hasn't it?
Yeah, it really does. I think this was from talking with one of our uh, one of our producers, Luis. We talked about this. He's been to this track a few times, and he says it's a lot of different configurations here. But the configuration we're running, yeah, it's very interesting. It's like the you start with your start is on a nice long straight. Then you have a very, very tight chicane, I guess if you want to call it that. It's a left-hander followed by kind of a opening right-hander for turns 1 and 2, and then a very long straight going down into 3, which is very troublesome because it's kind of over a crest as we see the cars on track here, and then it's downhill into the braking zone. So these cars, with their distinctive lack of downforce, are going to struggle here. The rear end is going to want to come around quite often. But then the middle section of the track is very technical, very twisty at turns. So it's going to be very interesting to see who can carry their speed through all these corners. And you know, we'll see if we can keep the big accidents at bay for today.
Murakami just backing out and bailing out of his lap there. As Jason Green goes top at turning a race, just moving up to 6th place there. He might be a little disappointed by that one. We've got a return in Overstreet. She's currently 4th place. And what are we looking like in terms of Spec 2? Well, it's Chris Montgomery. He's 7th overall. Going on his rich frame of form in qualifying. Trenton Kramer, who's 2nd in the championship, lies 4th in class all the way down in 18th. But Kramer does tend to come alive, doesn't he, during the race? Not miss the Saturday, shall we say it, in terms of qualifying.
Yeah, definitely. He's, you know, before it's all said and done, provided he doesn't get in an accident just on his pace, he will be up somewhere around Montgomery by the end of this race, challenging for the win. He's very, very good during the race and seems to make up for the maybe for the lack of qualifying pace. A lot of people just don't put a lot of stock in or a lot of effort into kind of getting a good qualifying set or qualifying strategy, and he so far seems to be one of those guys. But as we said, very, very good pace during the race.
Definitely indeed. So there's Nom, who's been demoted down to 5th place. I seems to be really struggling to get to grips with this circuit. Having said that, on the last lap round, did go fastest of anyone in Sector 2, so definitely pace within the Estonians' locker as always. And what is probably, just trying to think geographically, whether this would technically be his home race.
I mean, it'd be close, yeah.
Or somewhere in Germany, maybe. It's got to be really, really close. There's Rodriguez there, just, well, he's leapt up. He was right in the lower half of the table in terms of qualifying, up into 6th for the Spaniard. But yeah, but one person definitely will be his home race for is Jimmy Littbacker, currently in 18th, 3rd in Spec 2 right now. And, well, also, I've just spotted someone else who's recently joined the section. Previous race winner, Tim Hendrickson as well. I'm sure he'll start from the back, and fascinating to see him carve through his way through the field, as always.
Yeah. He'll start from the back, and he'll make a run up toward the front. So it'll be interesting to kind of watch his progress. you know, and then it'll be a battle with maybe him and Nom before it's all said and done. Obviously, we've got some really fast racers up front, so it's not going to be the easiest thing in the world. But if he can get clean through the field, once he gets up to that top 10, then the real fighting starts.
Montgomery just moving up to 9th, Nom up to 3rd, so 2nd row and of the grid for Nom, 5th row for Montgomery, although Harris is catching him, and he's always one to watch out for in terms of Spec 2. As things stand at the moment, he'll start 1 row behind him on the 6th row. Just looking for drivers out of place. There's not really too many. Drivers yet to set times, Kevin Parrish and Tim Staino have yet to take to the track. Hendrickson is out there just lapping around but making sure his times all get deleted, so he starts from the back. Last to first challenge pending. And Nom up previous lap to what he's just on, Charles. It's quite fastest of anyone in sector 4, so he's picking together those fastest sectors, but not just on what, you can't seem to string it together in one lap. Having said that, he is a measly 800ths of a second off pole, but that's only good enough for 3rd.
Well, he can't use the excuse that he just bought the track today because it's free. So he can't say I haven't driven it until today, but he can't say I didn't buy it until today. So I mean, you know, Nom seems like one of those guys that just comes in and races. You know, when he decides he wants to come in and race, he'll come in and either buy the track or just jump in for the first time and run some laps. But you know, when you're 7.5K or something like that, the driving part's the easy part. He's just basically coming in and learning the track and figuring everything out. He's probably doing that a sector at a time, seeing what works and what doesn't. And so wouldn't surprise me that he's as he goes to the pole now by 13 milliseconds.
Like under half a tenth separating our top 3. I mean, there's tights, but there's that's just absolutely extraordinary, isn't it? Really.
For sure.
I mean, the second covering our top 14 right now. Within there, there are quite a few very close and tight battles. Murakami, he's only half a tenth off of Andrew Love as checkered flag out in qualifying. Drivers can complete their lap. Also, we've got Wolbold. If you go to, I'm just trying to do some very quick maths here, Charles. Roughly about 2/10 covers himself down in 16th, down to Paul Stevens in 20th.
That's, you know, that's crazy. But you know, this is what we come to expect for this league. It's just, you know, there's always really tight battles up and down the thing, and the qualifying times, you know, half the field's within a second of pole. So it's not really anything out of the ordinary, but it still always kind of blows my mind that we're this close coming into the start of this race.
Yeah, it blows my mind too, as there you go, Christian Kabanka across the line at the deck, strings it all together, goes pole by 9 thousandths of a second. Wow. Well, I talked about leaving it late, saving it right to the last. As the session now transitions across from qualifying to race. I mean, wow, talk about putting together when it counts, eh?
For sure.
Oh no, quite transitioning. So I'm seeing a couple of drivers still out on track, so we're still okay, but they have completed their laps, so won't be too far away from being able to bring up the grid. And wow, predictions are really. I mean, I dread to think. I mean, we've got everyone at the sharp end where they would want to be. All the midfield battlers are all grouped incredibly close together, and then you've got a Dutchman who with frightening pace coming through the rear. Can he? Well, the question is, can he make it to the front group? I think that's going to be the big question. It's not the easiest necessarily to overtake around here. It's very easy to lose time and get held up behind people.
Yeah, it really is. So, you know, at this point, you can basically pick anybody probably realistically in the top 7 or 8 down to McConnell that have a chance of winning this race. So it's like I said, it's going to be very interesting.
Let's have a little run through our runners and riders everyone takes to the grid. Christian Kabanka climbing pole for the last lap in qualifying over Aero. Norm 9,000 for the second, separating those two for the front row. Jason Green has got head of the Masters Championship. Top qualifier Masters, in fact. Jorg Marni next to him on row 2. Row 3, a returning Megan Overstreet next to Jesus Rodriguez. Antonio Race second in Masters. Lines up on the 4th row with Michael McConnell. Row 5 sees your top qualifier in Spec 2 in the form of Chris Montgomery next to Andrew Love to round out the top 10. Good qualifying from Andrew Love there. Then it's another Masters and Spec 1 row for row 6 in the form of Chris Murakami and Benjamin Harris. On to row 7, Pedro Carvalho. That's Michael Nelson for company. That's the All-American row and All-Masters row of Alan Degassis and Gary Walbolt. Brad Cathcart up at the crack of dawn as always to come sim racing here in the Weekend Warriors. He starts next to Jimmy Littbacker, hoping for a great race. His home round of the season. Trenton Kramer way down in Spec 2 qualifying. He'll start 19th on the 10th row with fellow Spec 2 driver Paul Stevens. They got David Payne and Jeff Jacobson on row 11. Row 12 is Stevie Ray and Jeff Cantor. On to row 12, that is Dana Bowes and Tim Hendrickson. Hendrickson, the first driver, not setting a time. Staino, he is taken to the grid, but he did not set a time. Neither did Kevin Parrish, although, just looking at this, he's yet to take to the grid, so not too sure if we'll have him. Be interesting if he does. Watch him come through the field with Hendrickson. And, well, I mean, to be fair, Staino as well, he's got a bit of pedigree. You know, he's had podiums plenty here in the Weekend Warriors, so I know we've sort of mentioned and alluded to those top drivers. Ooh, now the Brazilian Pedro Carvalho, who was qualified 12th place, so sorry, 13th place, has not taken to the grid, and he's, I can see, he's elected to start from the pits. Wise move or not, Charles Michel?
Well, I think, you know, we haven't seen, I think we've seen Pedro in here before, but not for a while, so maybe he just thinks that he wants to be a little comfortable during the race and not be in the middle of the pack with not too much of recent racing. So yeah, it's probably not a bad call. Just start in the pits and just say, okay, you know what? I'm not here battling for a championship. I'm just here to run the race. So let me just stay here, and then I'll get out there and get comfortable and make my passes where I can.
Just coming through turn 3 now, this beautiful section of the track just carved into the hillside here as you make your way through a little valley that's been manufactured with rocks either side. And for me, that's always, well, it's a tricky corner anyway. It's very, very fast entry into it. But as you alluded to when we had that onboard in the early stages of the broadcast, it's so easy to lose the rear there, especially on the opening lap with cold tyres.
Yeah, absolutely. That's going to be very critical. The first lap is just going to be critical basically from start to finish, because you're going to be bunched up. There'll be a lot of side-by-side racing, so you need to make sure that you give the guy beside you or the driver beside you space, and then get the tires up to temp and up to pressure, and then once everybody kind of settles into single file, then you can start racing.
Well, it's going to be a cracker pace lap around here, not too far away from the safety car pulling in, and then we'll get ready to go racing in. That was a slightly disjointed calendar, technically round 7, but actually round 5 of the championship. Of course, there's breaks for Christmas Eve and New Year's Eve as well, but the safety car is in. Kabanka controls the pace. Let's get ready to go racing here from Norway in the Formula Ford Weekend Warriors, presented by Ray Esports. We are green and we are away, and already making it 3 wides. Plenty on this run down to turn 1. Nom just settling into second place there. Jason Green, who was your early pole sitter, following them through as well. There's remain no change in our top 6, but it's behind them. That's where it's all kicking off. Antonio Race losing a pace. Murakami up 2. Trenton Kramer, fast starts already at 4. Tim Hendrickson up 7. And we've only done, what, two corners technically.
Yeah, Hendrickson's carving through the back of the field pretty quickly. But overall, pretty clean start. Obviously a little side by side and some course corrections by a few of the drivers, but no contact, no spins. So we're off and running.
We are indeed, and Carlo did make the start from the pit lane. He's 27 parish, electing not to join us. Oh no, that's Nelson off. Oh, and he's caught someone. And who was that? Yes, Jeff Cantor. And that car is a write-off, front right, destroyed. But fair play, he's going to try and limp this one home.
Yeah, if you can get it back to the pit and get his fast repair, you can get back out on track and maybe make a couple spots up as the race goes. But yeah, it looked like Nelson was really trying to hold his brakes. He had smoke coming out of all four, but it just seemed like just couldn't get the car slowed up enough. And then here comes Cantor at full gallop. If you want to throw that pun in there.
Lovely. I'm teaching you well, aren't I? And these are shocking puns. Kabanka, 9 temps open up already on this opening lap. He is not hanging around at this early stage. Leave everyone for dust behind. Murakami's up 2 spots into 9th. And he's up into 3rd in class because Andrew Love's dropped down a little bit there. To seeing Jesus Rodriguez losing a place to Antonio Race. The Iberians going to battle for honours of that region. So it's happened to Brad Cathcart as well. He's dropped a few places down the order. And, well, Hedges up 12 places already into 14th as we're only on to lap 2 here. We're not even just over halfway round lap 2, in fact. And where is Trenton Kramer? He's up into 3rd in class. He's up into 15th overall. Chris Montgomery is in 10th, so that is within touching distances. They are basically in one long train. There's not a gap greater than the second. Actually, it's just would open up now. Chris Montgomery then closes it up once again to compress the field. But yeah, there's not a gap bigger than the second, Charles, for the entirety of the field. Oh no, yeah, they're still running.
Yeah, that's pretty standard, especially this early in the race. But as we start seeing little mistakes here and there, or battles side by side for passes, that's when those gaps start appearing in the pack, and it takes them. As we see a little car off there, nice catch by Benjamin Harris. That was very, very close, but managed to catch the car. And successfully not hit anybody else. So well done to him for that.
As Nom, they're just dropping a couple of places. Green and Marnie making their way through. Nice Overstreet's starting to look aggressive at the Estonian. But to be fair, I mean, even she's feeling like a little bit of a cork in the bottle because Race and Rodriguez are strapping away, but also trying to make their way past the young American as well. It's Race, in fact, fastest lap so far of the race last time around, although that time's just going to continue to tumble even more so. Hendricks has made up a number of places. He's up into 11th now. That's 15 gained for him. Montgomery still holding on to that Spec 2 league. Obviously, Marnie leading Masters. Wow, so much going on here. So let's try and look at it. Keep one eye on the time machines. Keep one eye. Well, it's good job. We've got 2 eyes, one for each, really, isn't it?
That's true. And yeah, so Nom's made that gap back up, and it's. I think he's just maybe he's still trying to figure a couple corners out, and so he doesn't have quite the pace that you would expect from him. But it really is. They haven't just taken off and left him yet. So if that happens, then I might question it as we see Hendrickson already up to P10. He's already up 16 positions. So he'll be here in short order. He got here quick enough that he's only 5.5 seconds off of the lead.
It's always a gamble, isn't it? Trying to complete these last to first challenges because at this type of circuit, cold tires, big fields. 26 cars, so it's 27 cars starting the race here today. All it takes is someone to lose control.
Mm-hmm.
They come back across the track, and it's so easy they get caught up. I mean, we saw it last week at Willow Springs, as we just reminded with Antonio Race. It was Chris Murakami is race his fellow Masters driver that had that incident, wasn't it, where he went up the banking into turn 4 and then came back across the track and, well, as we spoke to Trent and Kramer post-race, said, you know, he's just got to get there, you know, be a little bit lucky and try and move to the outside and hope and pray everything comes your way.
Yeah, absolutely right. Yeah, this, obviously, I don't think we're going to have something like we thought Willow Springs. That's kind of a unique track all of its own. But yeah, it is a lot to do with it. As we saw with Cantor earlier, it just in the wrong place at the wrong time. You know, it's pretty much race over with the spin that Nelson had. So I will say this: I did do a little bit of research as you were doing the starting grid, and I have an answer to your question regarding Aeronom, the Estonian. So geographically, Rudskogen would be his home track, but because you have to take a ferry across the Baltic Sea, if you drive to Oschersleben, you'll get there before the time it would take you to get to Rudskogen.
So yes, over the street, very wide there.
But
so
yes and
yes
no.
And no.
Exactly. So exactly, yeah. So you know, but it's still, either one is about an 18-hour trip. So
wow.
So
dedication, isn't it, for you?
Yeah, it really is.
As Overstreet, we saw the on-board race where she ran wide. Antonio Ray said, "Thank you very much," and slided up the inside. Jesus Rodriguez followed him through as well, and Overstreet just looking a little bit off the pace. Oh, it's a little bit rusty, dare I say it.
Yeah.
She's been away a little bit, you know. It's been absolutely on form, and we've seen her fighting at the front with Kabanka and Green, and obviously, you know, previous champion as well. But today, just seem to be clicking as up the inside there in the background. There goes Hendrickson on McConnell. So that's now 18 places gained into 8th, and well, this is where it gets a bit more challenging because harder drivers to pass in front of him, and also there's then a big gap, isn't there, merge now between Race and our top 4 of Kabank, Green, Marnie and Nom to the tune of 2 seconds.
Right. So yeah, those are the two challenges, right? He's looks like about 3/10 faster than the lead pack. So he's made up some time to them, but you know, but those gaps are getting a lot tighter now. So it's not, you know, where he's a second a lap faster than the cars he's going to be racing. So it's going to make it a bit more challenging. And yeah, Overstreet was in the Ray Esports League on Tuesday night and had a couple of good races, but neither one was in the Formula Ford. It was in the Spec Racer and the MX-5.
There we go. That's absolutely cracking link, that is, and always plenty of fun. It's something to whet your appetite really for what's to come here on the weekend. Antonio Race is dropping positions, and that's very, very early. I mean,
it is.
He might get to the end on it, I don't know, but that's just to me someone's maybe left qualifying fuel in.
It's possible. I don't know, at 9 minutes, that seems like a lot of fuel for quali. But I mean, yeah, it's definitely possible. So yeah, it's borderline. I was kind of, obviously we looked to the league organizer Stevie Ray for the early pit stop. So I looked to see if he was going to follow Race in to see if the pit window was open, and he did not. He's still out on track. So that makes me think that Race may be in a lap too early or two, as he comes out now, and he had a 10.4 second stop. So that seems like that would be what we would see for the fuel, or somewhere in that neighborhood. So yeah, it's a very interesting call. If that's what he did, if it was he said, "I'm coming in now," that would be a very interesting pit strategy to stop that early to try an undercut.
I mean, maybe feeling just get himself in some fresh air, can set some rapid lap times and maybe jump a few places. But it's definitely against the Portuguese driver today. Payne has just passed. Charlie Kramer's had an issue there. He is off track. And who's that off there with him just in the foreground? I think. As he stumbles down through, that's not good.
No, I was going to say Love, but maybe Wobolt.
Oh, it wasn't Wallbox. He got a different livery to Wallbox, but Wallbox had a secondary incident, either all by himself or quite happened. So there's Kramer. Is he just going to lose the rear here?
Oh yes.
Yeah.
Yep. Yeah, and then there was a little bit of contact there with Love. I thought that was him, but it didn't look like he was the cause of that. He just happened to be when that looked like netcode maybe right there. So maybe just an innocent bystander that just got caught up. But yeah, it was just a solo spin for Kramer, which is a little odd.
Yeah, it was with the car fully loaded up there, and maybe just distracted a little bit by Love on the outside, who was running it in deep into the corner. Stevie Ray into the pits, as you mentioned. So if that's your benchmark, you're right, Charles. That is a lap too early, potentially, for Antonio Race, and time stationary. We'll have a quick look at that. 15 seconds for Ray, 15.7 to be precise. 10.5 seconds for Race.
Damn, that even seems... yeah, I don't know. That's one of those that we'll have to wait and see, right? I think that's because I don't know that Stevie really tries to get his fuel perfect, and try and cut it as short as he can. I just think he's one of those guys that likes to get in the pits early, and get out of the traffic. So we see Stano over to the side.
He's on his own issue. He's just in front of just in front of Trent Kramer, having started from the back. He's on a decent charge. He made it quite a few places. Interesting, Brad Cathcart was involved in that early on incident and fell right to the back. He's now up into 20th. Race and Ray are behind him, who have pitted. Nelson has retired the car now, officially. So that was what actually happened on lap 1. Gutting for him. Yeah, Stano's going to be... Get the feeling it's going to be a long old, day at the office for a few of these drivers. As well, Jimmy Limbach, this driver definitely at his home race, and well, no one finding the gravel trap here in this, well, just coming up to 13 minutes complete out of the 40. He's going to just in front of one Brad Cathcart, who was just mentioned there, who's trying to find his way past in a flash before Limbach gets back up to pace again.
I will say this: I just kind of looked at the timing and scoring for Race, and he is setting his fastest lap. So he's doing what he was going to do, and he's out there setting his personal fastest laps during the race, and he's pretty competitive with the leaders' times, even with the extra fuel. So maybe a good strategy might play to his advantage.
We'll find out, won't we? We'll find out. But based on that time stop, though, Charles, I do have to want to Trent Kramer coming into the pits now to take his stop. But a few drivers going for that, early stop. Meanwhile, Murakami there, just having Montgomery slide his way up the inside. He fell for no. Gassi is just the back of this group. Not too sure what to do there. Backed out of it and let it slot in and let these two just juke it out temporarily. Meanwhile, just keep an eye. We haven't seen too much of this. There's been so much going on elsewhere. It's Kabanka from Ring, from Marnie, from Nom. That's been for a little while. Then they've got 2 seconds back, so that gap has come down by about a second to Hendrickson.
Yeah, he's once he got through Overstreet, McConnell, Rodriguez, he's about a half second a lap faster than this lead pack. So he is on a charge. And once again, once he gets to them, it's one thing to catch them, it's another to pass them. So he's got he'll have his work cut out once he gets there, but he's getting there pretty quickly.
Yes, he's actually, in camera shot now. And that's the crucial part. As another new fastest lap from the Dutchman to boot, a 26.7. The fastest this league group last time around was Kabanka, who set his personal best, ironically, with a 27.18. So that is nearly half a second faster. Yeah. But is this league group maybe fuel saving a little bit? That's what you've got to ask your question. Hendrickson clearly, if he's not, then that's even more scary. Certainly for us normal people. As well, already, Charles, I mentioned it was 2 seconds the gap. It's already down to 1.5 seconds. As meanwhile, Andrew Love there getting really stuck into David Payne. And can't quite get it past though.
He's having a really good battle there, but yeah, it's yeah, he's making up that time hand over fist, and so it's it's just a matter of time before he's on the back of Nom, and then they'll start battling. But we're coming up normally when we'd start seeing the early pit cycle, the early part of the pit cycle. We're coming up about almost to the halfway point, 16 minutes in.
But you've seen that battle as well later on. Love obviously, really getting involved with Payne. Payne and Harris are second and third in class. Payne's definitely a man on the move. He's up 3 spots in class, 8 spots overall. As that's Henderson just clearing Gary Walbolt there. Gap down now to 1.18 seconds to that lead group. And last time around, well, another new fastest lap from Kabanka, 27.07 for him, but still 3.5 tenths slower than Hendrickson with a 26.7, another new fastest lap of the race for him. Driver on a mission. But again, saying about David Payne, he's got Harris in front of him, who's second in class. And Payne only been on the podium once this season, third place at Motorsport, and looking to go one better than that one, as well as cementing his place in the Spec 2 podium. That's for certain. But yeah, this league group, well, Hendrickson, there he goes, winning a second now, 9 tenths in fact. So what does he elect to do when he catches them? Does he try and pass them all? Or does he say, right, okay, I'm here, guys, now, don't worry, I've made my way through absolutely everyone. And he sits back and tries to fuel save his way around this one. I don't know.
Or pits. I mean, he's,
Wow.
I mean, now we're at a point that I think that the field is spread out enough that if he pits, you're talking about 50-ish seconds. So if he pits now, it looks like there might be a nice gap between Antonio Race and Stevie Ray. He could slot in and continue his his purple laps one after the other, but I think maybe fuel saving is probably the best strategy. He can just kind of ride around. He's not having to he won't have to work really hard. He can just kind of sit here and kind of recuperate for a few laps, save a little bit of fuel, and then when it's time to pit, then we can see if he can close off the rest of these and get that last to first.
Use the stat here for you, Charles. So between Norm and Hendrickson, they have 16,000 I rating. The 3 drivers in front of them have a combined I rating of 17,000.
Yeah, that's just doing the for the team doing the Carrera Cup race this morning, and just seeing basically, all the pro drivers were basically 6K and up to 10K, and it's just sickening to watch them drive a car because they do, such fantastically quick laps effortlessly, it seems like. And so, I can't even contemplate being a 7K driver. Well, I can't even contemplate being a 5K driver at this point. But so yeah, it's something to watch. You get these guys out here that are doing this, and Nom and Hendrickson have always been very respectful. They'll race clean. They'll race hard, but they'll race clean. They're not trying to put anybody in danger of, or wrecking anybody just to get a pass made. So it's always fun to watch these, what I would say, advanced drivers. As that was very close there between Nom and Hendrickson doing battle. So it's always, like I said, it's always interesting to watch their progression as they're going through the field.
Ooh. Just while we've been looking at all this, Benjamin Harris in Spec 2 has lost a lot of time in a lot of places, and I can't see that he's necessarily come off track or had an incident.
I think he got a slowdown somewhere.
Yeah.
Maybe coming out of 2, maybe.
Here we go. Producer Samuli on the case, finds it straight away. So, yeah, that did look like he ran it in. He called it absolutely smack on, and there we go. That's
that
where he's
seems to be
lost
the
it all.
one that that seems to be the one that catches most people out. Is that that 1-2 complex? You can take you can get some of the track limit, but you can't take too much. You need to slow down, and yeah, it costs you 3 or 4 seconds on track most of the time.
There we go. And proving it yet again, we'll pay you the big push, Charles. See, smack on about Tim Hendrickson into the pit. Andrew Love comes in too. So David Payne now up to second in class in Spec 2, and rather comfortably for that one. He's got, what's 3 seconds over Harris. Antonio Race is still your top performer of everyone who has pitted so far, although I'd be interested to see where he comes out in relation to Hendrickson. For me, that's going to be a really, really intriguing one, as he's been quietly chipping away and setting some solid pace as Portuguese driver.
Yeah, a little bit of a long stop for Henderson. It's 15.6 stopped, which feels like it may be a couple of seconds too long, so maybe he took a little extra fuel. And he came out right in front of Antonio Race, so Race now has a rabbit to chase.
1.8 seconds, the gap there is, oh, it's all gone from bad to worse for Benjamin Harris. The slowdown, and that's a spin at what, turn 4, I think that is?
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah.
I think you may be right, yep.
Yeah, it's just heading through 10 now, so yes, not such a shame for him. He was riding second in class. That loses him even more time to the Canadian David Payne in the 273 machine, who's second in class, and well, he makes that now. He's lost even more time there. Look at that, 7 seconds, 7.5 in fact, is your gap to them. And also, well, I've got so many little, little groups of 3 who are battling away. This is another one of them. In battle for 5th place, but I think stand at the moment as, Pedro Carvalho. That's a shame. It seems, well, he's down 2 from where he's, as soon as he started from the pit,
right.
He's cleared a lot of people.
He has indeed. Yeah, he was having a really good race so far. It's up to, he's sitting in 15th now. I don't know how many positions he lost. Well, that's going to be a couple more as he's lost the nose.
I just looked across to the timing sheets just when they made. For me, I just couldn't call them my netco contact. I think.
It's going to look like. Let's get a replay here from Samula.
I mean, Brad Cathcart bringing the Australian ping, maybe. Yeah, that's brutal, that is.
Yeah, it really is. I think it was close, but I thought it was interesting. Carvalho was not necessarily running the straightest line on there, but yeah, I think that was more netco than anything, because it looked like he cleared, just barely cleared with the left front, but iRacing disagreed.
Yeah, 2 drivers who could be further apart in terms of, from distance from the Serpers and from each other. This is looking a little bit treacherous as McConnell just displacing Rodriguez there. There's Overstreet still just struggling with Rudskogen a little bit compared to a normal standards, what we come to see from her.
Yeah,
but
for sure.
They could neither of them, despite all that happening, no one can seem to make their way past there. So there's clearly, a bit of pace in the tank, but not, it's the fractions of margins here and there and everywhere, which is not enough for them to be able to, get a good enough run on there and get their way past.
Well, I've always been impressed. Megan obviously has got really good pace in the cars. She's a great driver. I've always been impressed with her racing knowledge as far as her driving lines and her strategy. Seems like it's always on point week in and week out. So it's so yeah, she did a good job of some defensive driving there, and now she decided, you know what, it's time to pit, and McConnell came with her.
Also following to boot, leader in Spec 2 Montgomery, second in Spec 2 Payne pops in as well. So, Hendrickson now still, despite having taken on more fuel, still setting a faster pace than our lead group. He's just shuffling on his way up the pack now due to those pit stops. I think he's going to come out in 12th after all this. Yes, he is, after it's all sorted out. Overstreet and McConnell are on pit exit. You just see him heading down pit road there. There they are. So that's going to work out about right. And Antonio Race, we asked whether it could work, that undercut. Well, there's your answer, Charles.
Yeah.
It's out in front of them all.
Yeah, he's jumped in front of that group that was in P5. Hendrickson is, just ahead of him still by about, actually it's grown to about 4 seconds now. But Hendrickson, based on what I'm seeing as far as the pit stop times, his was a little bit longer than everybody else. So I don't know if it's, I know he's quicker, obviously, by a half second or so than the lead group. But that extra few seconds in the pits may prevent him from leapfrogging that group, or he may come out mixed in, and that'll make it a really interesting battle for the final 10 minutes of the race or so.
Well, we've already, where's that time gone? 26 minutes complete. But so we will find out within the next, 4 minutes or so, certainly within the next 5, how this is all going to shake down and pan out. Nobody has stopped all the way up to and including Brandon Cathcart in 10th. Tim Staino, the outlier, in 12th. He is yet to stop as well. Will Antonio Race have to stop again? That incredibly short stop from him at the 10-second mark, and currently being harassed and harangued by Overstreet, who's desperate to make her way past them.
Yeah,
and
she's
then
through. Yeah.
we need to throw into the mix Jesus Rodriguez, who was in this group but stayed out. Now, what sort of lap time did he set? So last time around, Charles, he did a 27.25, which was on pace with our lead group, in fact.
Yep.
But a 130.7 for Overstreet, a 157 for Race. Sorry, no, sorry, no, I've read my line slightly wrong. A 127.8, apologies, for Antonio Race. So, oh, there we go. There's Jesus Rodriguez is popping into the pit. So that's where we're going to find out how that battle's going to pan out very, very shortly.
Yeah, this is kind of undercut versus overcut. See if Rodriguez was able to get a 2 or 3 really, really good laps in, and be able to jump Overstreet as she's trying to work her way around the track. So this will be the first little the check of how pit strategies have worked out for everybody. Obviously, when that lead 4 come in, we'll see where Hendrickson's going to kind of blend with them once it's all over with.
Right, Seafalls for the order. Our lead group just making their way through. Starting to come with some back markers now. That's Stevie Ray, who's just in front of them. And then, well, more crucially, then when they pit, ahead of them is Trenton Kramer and Dana Bowes, who are looked in a bit of a battle. So that could prove a little bit more treacherous in terms of that lead group making their way through. So, Rodriguez is out. And interestingly, Charles, while staying out that bit longer, having a lighter car, come out behind McConnell.
Yeah, and so I'm looking at the timing. Yeah, so his overall come time was a second slower than Overstreet and a half second slower than McConnell. So that's at least part of it. Don't know how, obviously there's the pit entry that's a little touchy there, coming into the pits here with a nice sharp corner. So you don't know what kind of speed he was doing through pit entry there. So, and we don't know if there was any maybe traffic or anything like that on his exit. But yeah, so he's basically right where he was before the pit stop.
Norm is just heading out the pits now. We'll find out where he's going to come out in relation to Hendrickson. There's Overstreet just past Staino, who stayed in losing in, well, there's a couple of places there. So that car going very, very slowly, or so it seems. Antonio Race flies by as well. Staino, well, clearly she's trying to fuel save his way out of this one, having started from the back of the grid, didn't set the time in qualifying. Norm has come out in front of Hendrickson by a second and a half, Charles.
Yeah. So yeah, so it looks like that Hendrickson maybe lost a little time with the pit stop. As we're looking, yeah, I mean, he was.
No, it's home straight.
Oh no! Oh wow! Yeah, so Nom was 3.3 quicker than Hendrickson, stopped in the pits. You see Overstreet coming down. This is turn 3. Just too much, carrying too much speed through there. It's, you know, that turn 3 and then turn 4. We talked about it pre-race. Just, you know, very difficult because don't really have a lot of downforce for these cars, so you're relying on mechanical grip. The longer you're leaning on those tires, the hotter they get, and the less they want to adhere to the track surface.
So, it's the pits. Green, Murakami, DeGassius. Cathcart's popping in as well. So, Green has come out, and he's come out, interestingly, in front of Norm and Hendrickson. So Green, roughly in about relation to where he was when he came into the pits in, you know, time gap versus Norm, of course, had Yogmani plugging that gap in between them. So, yeah, that was a really, really crucial phase of the race we're entering here. You've got yet to stop Paul Stevens, Tim Stano, Kabanka, Marnie, and Harris. But look at that, you know, you've got those today seeing spec 2 for Harris. I mean,
oh no!
Oh no!
And that was, I think he's stuck. Oh yeah, stuck in the tire barrier. So you have to tow that. McConnell, that was tough. Yeah, that was definitely a really big netcode contact between McConnell and Rodriguez there as they were coming through that corner. Because you visibly looked like a meter between the two cars, and then yep, it just shoved McConnell off and into the barrier, and the nose got stuck, and so he had to tow it.
Top 3 into the pits. Crucially, where is Marnie? I'm going to predict is going to come out slap bang in the middle of that battle between Norm and Hendrickson, and. Where's Jason Green gone? Why am I not seeing him? Oh, there he is. Oh, there you go. He is definitely in the lead. Wow, Kabanka and Marnie have had. Well, it seems like Kabanka's led every lap of this race up until now, Charles. That has not worked out for him whatsoever.
No, and you know, and we know Green is going to be one of the shorter pit stop times, right? Which was 11.7. So he was faster than basically everybody else in the lead group. So that enabled him to get out and take the lead of this race. Now he's got to. He's only got Hendrickson and Nom and Kabanka behind him to have to worry about, and Monty and Race.
You say about that, Charles. Hendrickson was going very, very slow on the outside. That allowed Kabanka to slide his way through. And now Hendrickson under a lot of pressure here from Yogmani to try and nick 4th place off him. It's all flipping on his head now.
Yeah, it is indeed. Yeah, it's one of those. It's kind of I don't know if that was an error. Kind of looked like that was just maybe an error on Hendrickson's part.
It was, Charles. So in sector 2, he lost 2 seconds compared to everyone else around him.
Well, there you go. So yeah, so that brings him back a little bit. So that gives Nam and Kabanka a little bit of breathing room. Obviously, he's only about a second behind, and then he's got Yogmani hot on his heels. And so, hey, I think the Antonio Reyes, should he finish in P6, I think that was a winning strategy for him. It got him several positions ahead, I believe, over the course of this, because I think he was kind of the edge of the top 10, I believe, if I remember correctly, somewhere in that neighborhood. And so. So obviously he's a little bit behind the rest of the group in front, but got a nice 3-second gap to Overstreet in P7.
Well, Jason Green on track here to make it our 5th different winner from the opening 4 rounds of the season. Green's best 2 finishes so far have been second places at Mo Sports and 1 week ago here on Apex Racing TV from Willow Springs. So can he hold on to this one? I mean, it's... You never really know, do you? Because it's
No.
such a conundrum with the drivers behind him. The sheer pace of those as well. Norm, Kabanka and Hendrickson and Marnie, of which those last three are very, very close to one another. You can see just in the back of the shot there. But time being on his side, he's got, what, some 4 minutes and 10 seconds left to hold on. Just going to give us about another 3 laps, I reckon, by my maths.
I think that's about right. Yeah, I was just kind of looking through timing and scoring to see if they're eating lap traffic. It doesn't look like they're going to catch the back of the field wall bolts about 10 seconds or so in front of them. So I don't think that's going to be an issue unless somebody toward the back has another problem. So that shouldn't be an issue for these this lead packs. It's just going to be who's got the fastest pace for these last 3 laps.
Well, based on form so far in this race, you've got to say it's got to be Hendrickson. But, well, you just don't know because everyone else has put in the fuel saving based on how far they stretched into this race. So,
Yeah.
we haven't seen, they have, you know, it's a game of poker, isn't it? They
It
haven't
really
shown
is.
their cards whatsoever in terms of pace. Whereas Hendrickson has, I don't know, and I absolutely love it.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting. Yeah, I completely agree. It's one of those that Hendrickson, you can see him closing the gap down. He's only a half second behind Kabanka, but then he's got to make the pass. And then he's got another second to get to Nom. And then he's got to try and make that pass. And then he's got another second and a half up to Green. So it seems like a tall order with just now we're under 3 laps at this point. It seems like a tall order to make all that happen. You know, I would kind of say that, you know, Green's sitting pretty well, but, you know, you've got Aero Nom right behind. So that gap could close very quickly because obviously Nom is a pretty quick driver overall. Hasn't really shown, I would say it would be blinding pace as we've seen from Hendrickson today, but he could have just been riding around and just kind of marking his time and holding his position until the end here.
Oh no, that's Andrew Love around. He was in a lovely little fight, wasn't he, with Murakami? So that's dropped him out of the podium position contention here. So we're looking pretty settled. These latter stages, just 2 minutes left on the clock for Masters. Marnie, Race and Murakami, your top 3 there. Spec 2 looking relatively safe there. Montgomery, Payne, and one Trenton Kramer, who's had a great fight back and unnoticed by ourselves due to everything all happening in a symphony of chaos here.
Indeed, yeah, he's done a really good job to make up the lost time and get back up, and he's sitting in that final podium position for Spec 2, which is kind of what we expected at the beginning of the race, that he would be battling, trying to get on the trying to get that class win. Doesn't look like he's going to get there. He's got a nice, you know, 13-second gap up to Montgomery to get the win. So I think that he's going to be. I think he'll probably be happy with this P3 in class.
A bit of a lock up there from someone just out of, was that Jason Green? Yes, it was locking up.
It was.
And that slashed his lead in half, Charles. As when they come across the line, it's going to be white flag in the air, 1 to go. And now, just under 2 seconds separates. In fact, it's more closer to a second and a half separates. Our top 4 right now on track.
Yeah, what was the gap in qualifying? It may be that way at the end of the race.
Well, it was, what, not even half, I think, but just under 800ths of a second, I think it was, between the top 3.
Yeah. So now we're at 1.5 from P1 to P4, and that gap seems to be closing between Nom and Kabanka. Hendrickson's almost pushing Kabanka up to the front. Definitely trying to run the defensive line there, and Hendrickson's going to have to go to the long side to try and get through here.
If he can hold it on the outside here, Charles, there's white flag in the air.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, there's contact. There's contact. and that could be those two out of the equation. It is, and it's going to promote Marnie up onto the podium overall. There goes Kabanka. There goes Hendrickson, who I feel may have waited for Kabanka. Well, he had to hold it on the outside to get the move done. It would have given him the inside into two, but there was contact. They came to blows. Right, so now it's a two-way fight between Green and Nom for victory here from Rudskogen, and there's 2 temps separating them with half a lap remaining.
Yeah, it's crazy. Yeah, the Kabanka, it looked like he just kind of caught the curb and it kind of kicked the car over. So it's just hard racing, and you know that's going to happen occasionally. And so I don't want to attribute fault to either one of those drivers for that. They were just trying to race for that position, and then so you got the wheel-to-wheel contact.
There we go. Still 2 temps, well, just under, in fact, more like a temp and a half separating our top two. The lunch from Nom. Wow. Oh, close. But he could get the cutback here. Can he get on the throttle sooner? I don't think it's going to be enough as they run to the line. Green ahead of Nom. He hunts that inside line. He goes to the shortest possible route, and he takes victory by 2/10 of a second over Nom's come a 4th different winner from the opening 5 rounds of the season. Wow.
Yeah,
what a
ending. Great ending to that race. Great battle in that front 4. You know, obviously very sad that we had the contact as we see Montgomery come around. Looks like he's going to take the Spec 2 win here and a P10 overall. And we saw Monty already cross the line in P3 and the Masters win.
That is his, well, there was now 4 wins this season. 3 of them have come from being on the podium overall, Charles. That equals his finish a week ago at Willow Springs, where he's 3rd overall.
Yeah, he's having some good form right now. He's having some great racing. I think we saw at some point in time, as far as points were concerned, he actually was the overall leader as far as points, even though he's a Masters driver. And because of the way they do the points here, you know, you get your points based on your finishing position. And Monty, I believe, had the most points, I think, both in Formula Ford and in Spec Racer.
It's a cracking start, that is. And I mean, I'm just gutted in terms of Masters. Alan Gassis couldn't finish it on the podium here, because that would have been exactly the same podium in the same order for the previous 3 rounds in Masters. There he is. But fortunately, not his day. He finishes down in 20th position. Guessing for him, Trenton Kramer did enough to hold on to that 3rd place in Spec 2 to keep his championship aspirations. After what was a torrid day at the office, just that mid part of the race for Benjamin Harris did not work out at all for him.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, he said, you know what, the car's junk. I'm just gonna remove some parts from it, and I'll forget about this race and get ready for next week.
Exactly. So I think everyone across the line now. Here we go for some classified results. Jason Green, your winner here today. Aero Nom in the end couldn't quite dig it out and has to settle for 2nd place. York Marnie, as we mentioned, winner of Masters and on the podium overall. Kabanka picks up 3rd place in Spec 1 despite finishing in 4th. You have to wonder what would have happened if he hadn't come to blows with Tim Hendrickson just coming on to the opening corners of the final lap, with Hendrickson finishing 5th. Overstreet 6th on her return. I think she'll be happy with that one. Whereas Antonio Race 2nd overall for that early stop. Helps him get out in front of his rivals to finish 7th overall. Jesus Rodriguez 8th. Murakami going to round out that Masters podium in 9th. There's Chris Montgomery, winner in Spec 2 to round out your top 10. Andrew Love 11th. David Payne, his best result here, to finish 2nd in class, 12th overall. Jacobson, Trenton Kramer 14th, and rounding out that Spec 2 podium. Then was Stevens Cathcart. But he had a good result since he fell right to the back in the opening lap to finish 16th. Dana Bowes, Ray, and Tim Staino, another driver, didn't set a qualifying practice, and sorry, in qualifying. He finishes 19th overall, with Degassius rounding out your top 20. Then we've got Lipbacker, 21st on his home race. Warbolt, Harris, who had a torrid time, as we just mentioned. Then 24th was Pedro Carvalho, 1 lap down, and then we're into the retirements already. McConnell, we lost him on lap 22. Jeff Cantor, lap 6. Nelson on the opening lap, and Kevin Parrish did not make the start. So I'm going to chat to some of our drivers. First up, we've got one, Jason Green. And Jason, I mean, coming on to those final laps, we saw you just made that little bit of a mistake, and it just all, it brought you back into absolutely everyone. Were you starting to get a little bit nervous and maybe feel like, oh, have I thrown this one away? Or do you still feel quietly confident?
Yeah, 100%. I accidentally shifted down to first instead of staying in second there, and the car does not like that when you do it. So yeah, I don't know how I saved it. But yeah, after I managed to save it, I knew yeah, it's incredibly hard to pass around this track, especially if you defend. So I was still confident I could hold Arrow behind me. But yeah, he still made it extremely difficult.
And with that in mind, I take it was, we know you as the master of the fuel strategy and saving fuel. I mean, was that just your thoughts of just stay in this pack, stay with Christian Cabanca early on, and just let him punch a hole in the air and just fuel save your way to victory?
Normally, yes, but today I knew Tim was in the field and he was charging up, and I was watching his progress. So I knew Christian could do similar times to Tim. Maybe Tim might be a couple tenths faster, but I knew if Christian and I started battling, then that would definitely bring Tim to us a lot faster. So I knew that just staying behind Christian would help us hopefully be in front of Tim after the pit stops, and that looks like it worked out.
It definitely did indeed. Congratulations, Jason Green, first victory of the season. To do it here at Rudskogen. Congratulations.
Let's go. Thanks, guys.
Let's go indeed. And Charles Michel, as usual, Masters meets Masters in the form of Jorg.
Jorg continuing his fantastic form for the season. P1 in Masters, P3 overall, so an overall podium again. Jorg, congratulations.
Thank you so much, Charles. And P3 was lucky. The two guys ahead of me didn't choose the right thing, I guess, and yeah.
Yeah, you had a very good view of that battle there between Cabanca and Hendrickson toward the end of the race.
Yeah.
So a bit, you were in that lead group basically from the start of the race, and it just seemed like that the 4 or 5 of you that were up there were running really good laps, and Hendrickson just was continuously making up time. Were you concerned that it was going to be he was just going to kind of run away from everybody?
Nope, not at all. I mean, Tim is fast, but what should I do? If he comes, then I try to fight him, and I know he's not liking to fight. So that's why I would try at least, but I'm not giving a spot away just like that because just Mr. Hendricks behind me. I'm not giving up like that. I'm too old for that.
I hear you. So your congratulations on the win, and I think I saw that right where Stevie said that you actually were the overall points leader in, I think, both the Formula Ford and Spec Racer. I think it was maybe last week. I'm not sure if it is still now, but you got to be very close to that.
I have absolutely no clue. I don't even watch the tables. I'm just driving. I'm just having fun racing. I'm not watching it at all.
Oh, all right then. Well, we'll see you in the next race.
Yeah, thanks a lot, Charles, and thanks a lot, guys, for broadcasting. See you next race.
Thank you, Jorg.
Now joined by winner in Spec 2, Chris Montgomery. And Chris, not just that, to boot, positioned inside the top 10 as well. Top in qualifying as well. I couldn't really hope for a much better race, surely.
It went very well, except for one little debacle in the pits. The button I have mapped on my wheel to cut the fuel off when I get the right amount in wouldn't work. So I took twice as much fuel as what I wanted, but thankfully I had a good enough gap on second, I guess, that it all worked out.
Well, definitely. I mean, it was all happening behind you, but obviously you're a little bit unawares of that while you're in the seat. I mean, in terms of strat, I mean, it seemed a little bit feisty, in the midfield there. Just to sort of take it through, especially the opening laps, where you were all pretty much free wide heading down into turn 1.
Yeah, turn 1 and then turn 3, especially on cold tires, the first couple laps, like I'm sure the other guys have mentioned as well, it's like being on ice, literally. You really have to kind of tippy-toe through there until the tires come up to temp. And then even after they're up at temp, it's still dicey. So the first lap, I was on the outside of turn 3 going in, and I just bailed out of it, and I gave up some positions and just kind of fought back. And I had a good run with Chris Murakami and Alan for quite a while for the first half. And we lost the leaders, but we were keeping a good pace, the three of us. But then when I got the pit problem, that kind of dropped me off about 6 seconds behind Chris. I'm not sure what happened to Alan.
Yeah, he had his own issues as well, which sort of jumbled things around. But I mean, it's setting things up. You know, Trenton Kramer managed to haul his way back up into third in class. Between the pair of you, it's looking like it's going to be an absolute epic, season between both of you.
I hope so. I mean, Trenton is a great racer. Really enjoy driving against him. Every time I'm out there, I'm kind of like, I keep looking at the leaderboard, like how much closer is it? Was he? I keep checking my mirror. A couple times last week, he had a huge gap, and then magically he's right there. And then we just kind of keep going back and forth, and had a really good time last Sunday racing each other. So we'll see if he's doing surf. I'm going to try and do that one. It's going to be very hectic, I'm sure, and we'll see if we can get some racing together out on that.
Oh, most certainly it is indeed. Scuba in those cars, massive credits. It's good luck to you. I think that's all I'm going to say. Rather you than me in some ways, but there we go. But we'll let you go. Get ready for that one. Chris Montgomery, your winner in Spec 2 today.
Thank you, guys.
As Chris mentioned, coming up in about 50 minutes' time on the channel is, of course, the SRF Weekend Warriors head across to Japan for that one, to Tsukuba, a massive parade on a tiny track. What could go wrong?
Yeah,
what could go wrong?
Exactly right. Yeah, one of the rare non-double headers we've got this season. So it'll be interesting to see the spec racers out on that track. Yeah, that track is super tight. So it's going to be I think it's going to be a very eventful race.
Well, certainly not as much as the week after that when we head to Belle Isle, but I think this is going to be merely a sorbet to cleanse the palate and get us ready for that one. But, well, that is all we've got time for from the Formula Fords. Congratulations to Jason Green, Jorg Marnie and Chris Montgomery on their victories. We'll see you in a week's time for the Formula Fords with Ray Esports, but we'll see you in about 50 minutes time for the second half of the doubleheader as we head to Tsukuba for the SRFs. I've been Tim Cox with Charles Bacholz and Kumo. Thank you very much for joining us, and we'll see you then. Goodbye.